On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about Train of Thought by Dream Theater. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal and we like to talk about it. And today we're continuing our summertime tradition of at some point during the summer talking about a Dream Theater album.
And here we go.
And here we are. Train of Thought. It's their album from 2003.
Yes,
2003.
And let me tell you right now, the first time my buddy Jimbo played Dream Theater for me, I'd never heard them before. This is what I thought it was going to sound like.
Really?
And then
it was one of their normal albums.
Yeah, it was one of the regular albums.
Much more prog rock mixed in with the bits of prog metal. This is much more a straight prog metal album.
Yes.
Versus Dream Theater always kind of rides the line between prog metal and prog rock. This one just goes straight into prog metal very intentionally. They were trying to make this a darker, heavier album very specifically. And it was just something that popped into my head over the week of just like, oh yeah, because I was looking for something to listen to at work and was like, oh, okay, I haven't listened to Dream Theater in a little while. Let's go back. And what album? Oh, hey. Oh yeah, we haven't talked about this. That's kind of an interesting thing. So
sure.
we'll talk more about Train of Thought later on. First, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's nice and hot out. It's gonna be hot this weekend.
Gonna be hot this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My gosh.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what this voice is. What is this voice?
I don't know.
I'm slowly changing toe. I'm slowly turning. Bobby. I'm slowly turning into. What's the wife's name in
Bob's Burgers, right?
Bob's Burgers. Louise is one of the kids.
Yeah, Louise is the kids.
Linda.
Yes.
Linda. That's all I need all I needed was to do it in H. John Benjamin's voice. Linda. What are you doing? Where are the kids?
I haven't seen that movie yet, and you know what? It's out. It's streaming now, but it's on Hulu, and I don't have Hulu.
I have Hulu.
Yeah,
but I haven't watched it. It's hooked up to the same. The reason why I don't like give out account info to a lot of people, even though I trust stuff, is because most of my accounts are like bundled in and like connected to my Facebook or my Google and stuff. And it's like, I'm basically giving you my entire digital life by giving you the password to this.
If I give you my Hulu password, I'm also going to give you my credit card. I'm going to give you my social security number.
It's irresponsible, digitally speaking, but it's more convenient for me.
Yeah, my Hulu password, it's my mother's maiden name.
The last 4 digits of my social security.
Yeah,
but yeah, I ought to use my Hulu more. I still haven't watched fucking What We Do in the Shadows season 3,
right?
Which honestly should probably be the next thing on my list now that The Boys is wrapped up. Have you finished The Boys?
I have.
What did you think of the season finale? Because a lot of people I've talked to about it feel kind of lukewarm on it, and I'm in the same boat.
I kind of am too. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad episode.
It was a fun fight scene there at the end, and
I was just kind of hoping for something more drastic to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Because nobody, other than spoilers for The Boys season 3, because I want to talk about it. Other than Black Noir, nobody died.
Right.
And also it didn't seem like that should have killed Black Noir.
Right.
It seemed like he should have been able to
take a punch.
He got his guts ripped out.
Right.
But they weren't, thrown across the room. I feel like he could have just kind of scooped that back up in him. Unless, there's something we didn't see with Homelander, like severing his spine or some shit.
Right.
But it just looked like he got
indestructible.
Yeah, he just got kind of disemboweled, and it's like, my man survived getting his head bashed in by Soldier Boy, but getting his guts punched by Homelander is apparently too much.
There was a cute way he died, though, with the little cartoon.
The cartoon animals.
Yeah.
They make you feel so bad for Black Noir in the last couple episodes of this season. But yeah, and stuff happened.
Right.
Like important things happened, but I kind of feel like the end of the episode, both Maeve and Soldier Boy are both still alive.
Right.
But
he's in a container, but
yeah, he's on ice again. I am imagining they're going to try and reverse engineer whatever the Russians did to him. And, of course, the very last shot of Ryan kind of smiling psychotically after Homelander lasered a dude in public, which... Is there going to be any fallout from that? I don't know.
Everybody seemed to like it.
I mean, the people there seemed to like it, but he did straight up murder a dude.
Right.
And, murdering a guy because he threw a can at you and accidentally hit your kid usually doesn't stand up in court, but it's Homelander we're talking about.
What are they going to do?
So, yeah, exactly. But I'm imagining they're going to try and reverse engineer whatever the nuclear laser beam that's in Soldier Boy's chest is. But and of course Butcher is dying. Right.
He's got a few months to live. So and Annie is officially a part of the boys. Yes.
So things happened. There was people saying nothing happened in the season finale. I was like, things happened. It's just the script felt a little flimsy, and some of the decisions didn't feel entirely justified.
Right.
They felt like we gotta end the season somehow. So here we go. It felt like some of the buildup just didn't pay off.
Yeah. It fizzled a bit.
Fizzled a little bit.
I feel like what's going to happen is they're going to give some actual real Compound V to Butcher. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know if that would say, because that was what people thought was going to happen. That's what I thought was going to happen in the last episode, was that Huey was gonna, because I thought Huey had taken more than he did of the temporary stuff that was killing him.
Right.
But I guess Huey's safe, but I thought that was going to happen in this episode, this most recent episode.
But it did not.
Right. And I'm wondering if it ever will, or if Butcher's just going to go you know what, I have my taste of power, and it didn't turn out well, because I think he kind of understands also I fucked up pretty bad with the whole Ryan thing, and part of the reason that I fucked up so bad is because of the Temp V, because that's the only reason why he decided to go scorched earth, is because, I've got this thing now. So I'm going to be a dick to Ryan to try and keep him safe. And it didn't pan out. And now Ryan's putty in Homelander's hands.
Yeah, maybe.
Seemingly. Yeah. That seems like, I was hoping it was going to be Ryan's going if I'm around, then maybe my crazy, insane dad, Homelander, will act like more of a human being because I'm around. But then there was that last scene with him smiling like a little psycho, and I'm going okay, what's this now? Because
you thought that's what he was doing. He was like, Dad, we need to go.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening, and maybe it was. And people can be multifaceted, even child characters.
Sure.
I'm interpreting that the little psychotic smile is kind of being he's mostly probably just happy that an adult in his life has his back.
Right.
Even though it's, a psychopathic man-child.
Yeah. Well, it dawned on me the other day, too, that he's obviously some sort of a mirror of Superman.
Yes.
That Superman has a secret identity. Homelander does not.
I mean, none of the superheroes really have a secret identity.
Right.
And part of the reason why that works in the universe of The Boys is because up until the show happens, there's no supervillains to worry about. So you don't really have to worry about people coming after your family, because most of the superheroes that would be worth coming after can't be hurt.
Right.
and would wipe the floor with anyone, trying to hurt their family or anything.
Yeah, it would be a terrible idea.
Or since they work for an extremely powerful company, you can just get the ransom money. Like, it's not going to be that much of a problem.
Sure.
But everyone else is all the other soups are to some degree a real person who have some kind of life outside of their persona as superheroes. And all of their outside lives have been kind of destroyed by them being, megalomaniacs for the most part.
Sure.
And at least I do like that, okay, yep, maybe it felt a little cheap that Maeve lived, but at the very least she's out.
Right.
At least until Homelander figures out where she is and that she's alive.
Well, some beach somewhere or some island. What was this?
They're just, I think they actually mentioned going to like Iowa or Illinois.
Right.
Wherever she's from, because she's from a very small town.
Right.
And also the likelihood of Homelander finding out that she's still alive is lessened because
they deleted the tape. Yeah.
Ashley acted like a human fucking being
for a moment.
Once.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see more from the boys.
Sure. Will this be the final season? Do we know?
I don't think so. I think they said they were planning on at least a couple of more, which tells me that there's probably going to be some way to resolve the whole Butcher dying thing, because Carl Urban,
he's kind of the backbone.
Yeah, he's a back, like, he doesn't make the show, but
right,
it would be weird without Carl Urban as Billy Butcher.
Right.
And it would be strange to have the show without Butcher on there calling everyone and their mother a cunt.
Sure, exactly. But I think the real center of the show, of course, is the Deep.
See, I want him to just continue being humiliated forever.
It
never gets old.
It's just pure enjoyable cringe.
Oh God, it never gets old. Like, watching him be continuously humiliated,
right,
is just so much.
But isn't that treason?
It's just such a punching bag. I love it.
You're gonna go murder a vice presidential candidate.
Yep. Because I say so. Because you're my little bitch boy now. God, yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah,
watching that character continue to spiral further and further down. The only one who keeps him company is the octopus that sucks his dick. Oh God.
Oh boy.
The only one that likes him.
Not even his wife is not even in the picture now.
Cool. Yeah, because she wrote a book called In Too Deep.
Yeah.
And apparently like 5 hours. I don't think that much time elapsed between her leaving and
I feel like what this says is
she had it prepared.
Yeah, she had this going for a while. That
would make sense,
yeah.
Because it was clear she was, in it simply as a sort of vehicle for fame.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see more from this show. But I suppose my next thing I need to watch What We Do in the Shadows season 3. I gotta watch it. And then after that, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of TV shows lately.
Right.
It's just I haven't watched a lot of TV shows.
What I've been doing is I've been playing the game that makes me feel like a complete idiot all the time, because every time I go, well, what if I do this or do this? Oh, I could have been doing that all along. Oh, what if I do this? Oh, I could have done that.
You're talking about Elden Ring?
Yeah, I'm talking about Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, you mean I could have just done this?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I went to go and you got to go. Oh, you activate the Great Rune. Oh,
I told you
right,
that.
Yeah, I knew that. But
using the rune arcs.
I didn't. Yeah,
I think I mentioned that as well, but you probably forgot.
Also, I didn't know you had to select it and have it be the rune.
Yeah, you gotta put it in the thing.
I ran around a lot without it. I didn't know. I thought just having it was cool. Oh, you have it. and then it does its thing. No, you got to actually.
You don't need to use it. It's just a little boost.
Right, but it doesn't do anything if you don't.
Yeah,
if you don't use it.
It's true. I feel like Godric, at this point, though, for you, Godric's Great Rune doesn't do a ton for you.
No, because I'm level 78.
Yeah, you get diminishing returns the higher level you are on that, because the difference between the levels you've invested in, like the higher you make it, like skills kind of have certain, or the attributes kind of have like certain ranges where you get the most out of them.
Right, sweet spot.
Like the sweet spot for vigor, where you really start seeing like good returns on it, is between like 40 or like 35 and 60 is where you get the most out of it. And above that, you start seeing, diminishing returns.
My vigor's at 42 now.
Yeah, which is 40 to 50 is pretty good for a lot of builds. But I'm discovering as I'm playing through Dark Souls 1 again, how kind of unoptimized my character was there.
You showed me that video. That was great.
Well, and like, I've been playing it on stream, and like I do pretty well against most bosses, but it's like the regular enemies that are just demolishing my shit, because on New Game Plus, everything has more health and hits harder.
Sure.
But generally speaking, by the time you complete a first playthrough of any FromSoft game, your character will still be able to easily demolish everything for the first 75% of any New Game Plus run. But like bosses, absolutely demolishing them, destroying them for the most part, and the regular enemies are giving me a lot of trouble. Then I hit Ornstein and Smo, which is basically the halfway point of Dark Souls 1 and the most infamous set of bosses in the first game, entirely because of how difficult they are, but also because they're an extremely iconic fight for Dark Souls 1. It's difficult, but also not, stupid difficult. It's difficult, but in a fair way, instead of like Bed of Chaos, which is difficult because it's poorly designed. I was having a lot of trouble with Ornstein and Smo and couldn't get past them on stream, and had to end the stream without a victory over the two of them, and that felt bad. But I was getting frustrated and didn't have it in me to soldier on for another however many tries, because that is also a pretty unpleasant run back for those two.
Sure.
And I was using the summon there as well, which is part of the reason why I stopped, is because I ran out of the item you need to use those summons. And I was doing really well, generally really well, having Solaire with me going into that fight. But as soon as I didn't have him with me, I was just absolutely getting demolished, because the crux of that boss fight is Smo is huge and lumbering and quite slow.
And
Ornstein is smaller and very fast. But the thing is if you focus on either one of them too much, the other one is going to surprise you. Like you would think, oh, I can just focus on Ornstein and I won't have to worry about Smo because he's slow and lumbering.
Right.
Except he has one move where he runs at you, sweeping his hammer from side to side. And he will almost always do that when you aren't looking at him.
Sure.
And I found out in the second stage because there are two ways you can finish that boss fight. If you kill, it depends on which one of them you kill first. The other one goes over to their body, powers up, gets all their health back, and that's the second phase, is this empowered single one.
And which one is better to do, or do you know?
Most conventional wisdom is that Super Smo is easier to beat.
Okay.
I decided not to do that because Super Smo can apparently kill my character in one hit. And the other times I was doing Super Ornstein, and I choked really, really hard one time where he was down to a quarter of a hit. Like, that's how much damage that I'm doing on my hits. It's just like getting hits and avoiding being hit.
Right.
And he was down to, like, it would have been pretty severe overkill if I had hit him. But I just choked, got stabbed in the face. It felt bad. But yeah, it's harder than I was anticipating it being. Because I had always heard everyone said, oh, New Game Plus is super easy when you go back and try it again. And apparently it is not. I mean, it's also especially not as easy when you are far more used to a whole bunch of quality of life updates that have been added to FromSoft games over the years since Dark Souls 1.
Sure.
I don't know why I constantly am hitting the Dark Souls 3 jump button, which is on the left stick.
Why did they change the configuration?
Because the configuration in Dark Souls 1 sucks and is stupid. It's the same thing as in Bloodborne, where you have to hit the same button as sprinting again.
Right. So you have to, so you have to get a running start before you jump.
Yes. And it's the same thing in Dark Souls 3, but they just put it on a different button so that you didn't, like, it really sucks when you stop sprinting and you want to go into a roll and instead you do a jump, which is going to get you knocked out of the air and onto your ass.
Right.
Because jumps don't give you any iframes. And it's
rolls do, but jumps don't.
Yeah. And it's like, it was really, really inconvenient to have that mapped to the same button. So they changed it for Dark Souls 2. They kept it for Bloodborne for some fucking reason.
Which came after Dark Souls 2.
Yeah. Well, that might have been a Miyazaki thing. Maybe Miyazaki was like, we like this. And then when they were making Dark Souls 3, they were like, yeah, so they really liked it when we changed the jump button.
Can we just change the jump button for this one?
Fine. But I'm bringing back Anorlant. Fine, but you have to let me put a poison swamp in it. They couldn't have stopped him if they tried.
There's a poison swamp in all of his
There's
games.
always a poison swamp. There always will be a poison swamp, no matter what. The man is he made the biggest poison swamp in Elden Ring in a fugue state.
Really?
He just like disassociated for 10 hours. And when he came to, he made a poison swamp. I don't know which one it was because there are several.
There are several, yeah.
I presume it's Lake of Rot, which is by far the biggest and worst. But I don't know. Lake of Rot. Honestly, Lake of Rot is not that bad because there are precious few enemies in it.
Yeah, that's right. Because there are two kinds of poison, basically. There's rot and then there's...
So it's like, I don't know if he was talking about like the Aeornia Lake or whatever in Caelid, or if he's talking about Lake of Rot, which is underground. Right. I don't know which one that is. Because there's not a regular poison swamp.
No, I mean, there are
little ones,
right?
But there's no like big ones that cover an entire area the way that the ones in Caelid and underground do.
I want to. That's another thing I want to do in this. I mean, there are dozens of things I want to do in this game, but that damn gauntlet at the beginning of the game, like in the. Are
you talking about the hero's grave?
Yes, the hero's grave.
Oh yeah,
You didn't complete that?
No, I didn't complete that. I kept dying, and then because you told me about it, and I'm like, I gotta go to the podcast, and then I never went back to it.
Oh. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad?
I don't think they're that bad. They're kind of annoying, but they're not that bad. I don't know. I thought the bosses at the bottom of each of them were pretty easy, but I was also, pursuing a pretty busted sort of build. So
sure.
I don't know. There are a lot of things in Elden Ring that were a lot easier than they should have been because I was playing kind of an optimized way to play the game that was also not particularly natural. Which is the way I played every other Dark Souls or every other FromSoft game I've played, where I just did what felt good. And I'm kind of sad that I didn't do Elden Ring kind of in a more naturalistic way. But I don't know.
Was it like you had like both magic and
Yeah, well, I looked up like one of the like Fextra Life builds, and was like, "Oh, this looks fun. I'll do that." And then I didn't end up doing exactly what I wanted to, because I wanted to do the Moonlight or the Dark Moon Greatsword, but then when I actually got it and like changed my stats, I was like, "This feels bad to play. I don't like this." So I just went back to using what the fuck is the katana called? Moon something.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
the magic katana.
When you get from the great worm or the lava worm or
magma worm.
That's it.
Yeah, I can't remember what the fuck it's called, but I used that for the vast majority of the game, and the game was much easier. I used a rapier for a while.
Sure.
But I got tired of that because I didn't like not being able to hit multiple enemies in one strike. And because you're a little pokey, that doesn't really work.
Right.
Which is also the problem having in Dark Souls 1 at the moment, because the weapon I'm using, the first, it has a combo where the first attack is a vertical slash down that really only hits one. And then the second attack is a horizontal sweep. But the vast majority of the time, I'm only ever going to get that first attack off before I dodge, because I'm also not playing a particularly tanky character. So I'm stuck with only being able to hit one enemy most of the time. And that bothers me a little bit. But I also don't have any way to change my stats beyond leveling up, because they didn't implement anything like that in Dark Souls 1. So it's like, I would love to do a build where I just have a giant hammer, but I can't do that because I have equal investment in strength and dex, because the regular halberd I used for 98% of that game scaled that way. Anyway, do you want to talk about Dream Theater?
Let's talk about, I almost said Themed Reader.
Yeah, Themed Reader. There we go. So Dream Theater, if you don't know, is an American progressive metal or progressive rock band. I think, honestly, I haven't listened to a lot of their, I haven't listened to their newest couple of albums.
Really?
They've got, there's like 2 new albums that I haven't really listened to. I think I listened to the one that came out a couple years ago one time through, and I was like, their style has gotten, I think, heavier a little bit and more sort of modern. I think at least the guitar tone, John Petrucci's guitar tone on newer Dream Theater stuff tends to edge more towards like the way a lot of like newer progressive bands sound, with it, a lot more down-tuned stuff.
A lot heavier kind of.
Yeah, kind of heavier riffing and that sort of thing, which is what this album was about, but in a more traditional progressive metal style. But
James LaBrie does quite a bit of rapping on this.
I don't know if I would really call it rapping.
I guess it's rhythmic.
It's just more rhythmic singing, that sort of thing. And when you say quite a bit, it's compared to a usual Dream Theater album, which is none. Like, there's like 2 minutes total of what we might call rapping on this 1 hour 9 minute album.
Right, but it was something I did not expect.
Yeah. And again, it's like, it's hard to really call it rapping, because it's more rhythmic, and also everything that's surrounding it not hip hop whatsoever. But it's clear that like on some of the stuff it sounds kind of influenced by I mean the metal atmosphere of 2003. Yeah. There's some riffs that sound kind of like new metal riffs every once in a while. Sure. Dream Theater-ified, but definitely. So this album came out in the after the fairly immediate aftermath of them touring for 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. And them kind of having noticed over the tours that like, hey, the crowds really like it when we play like some of our heavier songs. So why don't we just do a whole album that's just us playing like heavier songs? And they wrote the whole thing in 3 weeks. They just cooped themselves up in their practice space and wrote the whole album, and demoed it, and figured out what they wanted to do in studio in about 3 weeks and then got to recording it.
Nice.
I don't know how long the recording took because the production is not entirely in-house, but it was always Portnoy and Petrucci producing albums together. And then, they'd have outside engineers and, sound techs and whatnot. But they, the main production was done by the two of them for, I think, every album starting at Metropolis Part 2. I think that is the first album that they started self-producing on, and they've just kind of done that ever since, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, without Mike Portnoy since 2010, but I don't know how long it took them to record, but there's a whole bunch of different the song As I Am has an interesting inspiration for at least some of the lyrics, because apparently they were on tour with Queensryche.
Really?
And at one point during the tour, the guitarist for Queensryche pulled John Petrucci aside and tried to give him some guitar tips. And apparently that felt a little patronizing.
Listen here, kid.
And it's like, Queensryche is a more popular band than Dream Theater.
They've been around longer.
And they're more well-known in some circles, at least. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're that much more well-known, but probably back in 2003 they were. But even so, even 2003, John Petrucci was already, a guitar god. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting to me that someone would, pull him aside and be like, hey, here's maybe something you don't know about playing that old guitar.
Playing that electric goo hider.
And it's like, everything I've ever seen with John Petrucci, he seems like a really nice guy. So if he was that rankled by whatever got said to him, it must have been a bit patronizing. But that's just me, making assumptions about people I've never met. But John Petrucci seems like a pretty nice guy. So if if they wrote a song like that on the heavy Pissed Off Dream Theater album based off of those interactions, then they mustn't have been particularly positive. Some of the other inspirations here, This Dying Soul, which is the second track, is another part of the 12-step suite. That not John. There's a couple of Johns in this band,
right?
That Mike
That's
Portnoy.
What the hookers say.
Mike Portnoy started writing on 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, and it went all the way up through. There's 5 different songs, so it went all the way up through Black Clouds and Silver Linings. But there's 5 different parts, and each of them contains at least 2. Of one of them obviously has to contain 3.
The math says so, yeah.
The different steps in the 12-step program as he was, getting sober, essentially. Not essentially, factually. As he was getting sober, this is, was an outlet for him. And the whole thing, it's really interesting because I put together a playlist on Spotify, but you can listen to the whole thing together and it flows pretty seamlessly from one track to another, and each part of the whole suite across 5 different albums flow into each other, and also have recurring motifs and recurring riffs and melodies.
Nice.
And it's just really interesting, and I love when artists do that, of just oh, hey, this song is paired with this one, and it's the sort of thing that's not super uncommon in progressive music, but it's always neat when you see it. There's a reason why people do it. It's because it's cool. It's cool when people do that.
Right. I mean, they're actually trying,
Yeah, they're doing a thing. It's nice to see people do a thing and have a concept and stick with it. And I like that it also got finished too, the album before he left the band, and the relationship between the two of them. Between Mike Portnoy and Dream Theater as a company,
right?
Separated, because he's still pretty good friends with everyone except for James LaBrie, as far as I'm aware. The two of them apparently at the end didn't get along very well, which is sad. I also learned, by the way, that Mike Portnoy's son Max is the current touring drummer for Code Orange.
Really?
which is neat to me.
That is neat.
So I read that and I was like, oh, there's a thing I recognize.
Max Portnoy.
Max Portnoy. But he's the touring drummer, I guess. I don't know what their regular drummer is up to.
Just does studio work.
Or, well, I don't know if it's that he just does studio work or maybe he's got something
Maybe
else
he's still in
going
high
on.
school. I feel like Code Orange are kind of young.
They're
A little
my
bit.
age.
Oh,
They're about my age.
So like junior high.
When they started the band when they were like 13.
Right. Junior high.
Oh yeah, because I'm 13 years old. Hi everyone, it's me, 13-year-old Kale.
I have a hormone imbalance.
I went to the doctor and they were surprised. But yeah, I just thought that was a neat little thing that I saw.
Did you read that story about Simone Biles, by the way?
No. What?
She was flying from Washington, D.C. to somewhere recently, and the stewardess, the flight attendant, gave her a coloring book.
Oh, wow.
Would you like a coloring book?
She doesn't look that young.
I mean, she's 4'8", and she looks kind of young. She doesn't look 25. She is 25.
Is Simone Biles that small?
Yeah.
I didn't
She's
think
under
she was
5
that
feet tall.
small.
Yeah.
I guess I thought she was taller than that. I mean, I know gymnasts are usually kind of shorter in stature, but
Right.
I guess I didn't realize. I guess she's younger looking than I had pictured her in my head for some reason.
Right. So yeah, they do. Oh, is a child flying alone?
Oh, jeez. I mean, I don't know if it happens to her that much anymore, but for a while in her 20s, that happened to my sister. She's smaller in stature and pretty youthful looking.
Nice.
That never. I like half the time when I guess I haven't gone into a liquor store in a while, but like for a while I wasn't getting carded at liquor stores. Probably because they recognized me, which is maybe not the best thing. But when they recognize you at the liquor store.
Yeah, actually.
I get recognized at Sonic now because I was the dipshit that lost his credit card.
Yeah. Actually, you become somebody when you walk into the liquor store and they have your order ready.
They're just like, oh, a bottle of Maker's Mark. Here you go.
Yeah,
we got it ready for you.
Yeah,
sitting behind the counter, saving time.
Dude, it's 7:28. You're 5 minutes late.
Where have you been? We were waiting for you.
We're concerned.
We were about to call the cops.
Making a wellness check. I'm the guy who drinks a liter of scotch every day.
Liter of scotch every day. I mean, there are people who do that,
right?
But God, where was? Oh, I was talking about different song inspirations. "Honor Thy Father" was a song Mike Portnoy wrote about his stepdad.
Sure.
And if you've listened to the song, you can imagine the kind of relationship the two of them probably had. Let's see. There's a whole bunch of samples as well in "Honor Thy Father" from a shitload of different movies.
Yeah, I didn't recognize any of the movies.
So some of them are taken from Magnolia, Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Yes. I saw that once. It's one of those movies you don't really
watch. Oh,
yeah. It's not a repeat watch a lot.
Yep. Another sample is from the movie At Close Range, starring Sean Penn and Christopher Walken. There are other samples from Ordinary People and the Royal Tenenbaums,
I've seen those, but those were a long time ago.
As well as the TV show Oz. The lyrics to the song Vacant, which is at the time it was like, all right, James is going to write the lyrics for one song. And it was Vacant, which is about his daughter, who apparently after a seizure was in a coma for a short period of time.
Aww.
And so it was just that sort of terrifying parental anxiety of, oh God, what's wrong with my kid?
This is all very personal here.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal stuff. But like it's interesting that they're like, hey, we're just gonna write this cool heavy album and not make it super in depth and crazy the way that we often
musically.
Not that this isn't like a complex, really well played album.
It is,
but they wrote it in 3 weeks. This is what it's like when Dream Theater relaxes and just kind of is like, whatever, and they write something like this, which is still fucking insane. But then I guess when it came to the lyrics, we're just like, we're going to make this some personal shit. It also seems to be a trend And I need more sample because the other thing that comes to mind is on Metropolis Part 2. It seems like there's always a slow, thoughtful, kind of sad song where the lyrics are written by James Labrie that immediately precedes a really long, really crazy instrumental. And they always like lead one into the other for some reason. And which, by the way, Vacant into Stream of Consciousness is a really good transition. And Stream of Consciousness is also just a fantastic,
great song,
instrumental track, and was, at least until one of their more recent albums, the longest instrumental track they had done.
It's over 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's like it's almost 12, I think. It's very long, but it's really good for all of it. Other inspirations. I don't know precisely what the inspiration for In the Name of God was. There are parts that remind me of like Jonestown Massacre, but some of the lyrics make me think of that. In general, I don't think it's about anything specific other than just religion, leading to some sort of atrocity,
right,
of one kind or another. But some of the lyrics made me think like, oh, is this like a Jonestown thing, or like talking about like cults, doomsday cults and suicide,
Waco or whatever,
or something like that, something to that effect. But In the Name of God, really good track. As well. There's a lot of bangers on this album. That was the point. This was the album where they're like, we're just gonna write an album of wall-to-wall bangers,
or Harvey Wall bangers.
An album full of Harvey Wall bangers.
Probably not for Mike, though.
Not for Mike.
Yeah.
What the hell is in a Harvey Wall banger again? It's kind of a weird drink, isn't it?
It is. It's like eggs and shit in there.
It's kind of. I think it's. If I'm remembering correctly, I think it got made on How to Drink at one point. He wasn't a fan of it.
He wasn't impressed.
Harvey Wallbanger.
What's in it? I guess you're looking at it.
I'm looking at it here. Let's see. It is vodka, Galliano, and orange juice.
Oh, really?
I think the Galliano is the weird thing. What is Galliano? What the hell is it?
I've never had it.
I think it's one of those things where it's like it's like a spirit, but it's only used in cocktails. It's like it's a liqueur,
right?
And it's a sweet herbal liqueur created in 1896. I'm not a fan. I don't think I've ever had like a liqueur that I enjoyed.
No.
In any. I mean, they're the sort of thing that I don't think is really meant to be enjoyed straight.
Right.
The vast majority of them are not. This is something that you put in a cocktail.
Right. You wouldn't do shots of like Kahlua. I mean,
you put that in your coffee
in the morning, like every morning, and
every single morning,
along with Bailey's,
Kahlua and Bailey's.
Yeah.
And and a couple of drops of coffee.
Yeah.
And there you go. You're ready for your day.
Or you just put it in your milk at lunch.
Just put it in your milk at lunch.
Yeah. You never had Kahlua in milk?
No, I've never had Kahlua in milk.
Oh, man, that's actually really good. Think about like just coffee with cream in it.
I'm sure it probably tastes good. I just haven't. I'm apprehensive about anything with alcohol that has milk in it.
See, and there is a drop. I remember it was me. Was it? Oh, that was Bulldogs, but that is.
You can't let it sit for too long.
Well, and also if you're having a drinking contest, that is not what you want to be drinking.
Yeah, very poor choice. You don't want to. The words drinking contest should not be anywhere near the word dairy.
Because you're going to be making curds and whey.
Yeah, it's something is coming back out of you, and it will still be liquid when it does.
Yeah, that was the night before I got fired from Clear Channel.
I wonder if that had anything to do with that.
A little bit, because when I woke up the next day in the living room floor, the place I was hanging out at, I called a cab and I gotta go to work, and I gave the wrong address. So the cab never showed up. And then I showed up like very late. And Allison was cleaning out my drawer.
You're done.
You're done. I'm like, okay.
That makes sense.
She kept lecturing me too. As I was walking out the door, she's like mid-sentence. I'm like, you're not the boss of me anymore.
You're not my boss anymore. Leave me alone.
And then she wanted me to sign exit paperwork. I told you that, right?
I believe you told me that, yes.
Yeah. Are you going to go downtown and sign the exit paperwork? I said, yeah, I'll be down there.
Nope.
Of course not.
How old were you at the time?
At the time, I was still in my 20s.
All right, so I've got time to really mess things up.
Oh, yeah.
There's always time to mess things up.
You can ruin your life a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, hey.
I know I have.
That's it's a weirdly positive to think like, you know what? I've got some time to ruin my life at least a couple times over and make it out the other side alive at least.
I think probably there's going to be...
I'm not planning on doing that, but...
No, don't plan on it.
It's a vaguely positive thought.
Just know it's an option.
Yeah. It can happen and it's survivable.
I'm getting to the point now where I can see the moment in my life where I start to ask myself, why am I still a fuck up? God damn it. I shouldn't be doing this in my 50s.
Let's go get some Coke. Just thinking of the Kyle Kinane joke.
Yeah, right. Your friends are dropping away like retro rockets or whatever.
Like
the space shuttle.
Like booster rockets on the space shuttle. That's what it is. I should listen to that now that it's on YouTube. So does this album slap?
Yeah, heck yeah.
This slaps, a lot. Mm-hmm. Looking up, there was a weirdly small amount of reviews on their Wikipedia page for this for a band that's as popular as Dream Theater. But the ones that were there averaged out to about an 83.
Nice.
What's your favorite song on the album?
Actually, the song... I listened to this while I was doing something else, and the song that made me stop doing what I was doing and look at what I was listening to was Endless Sacrifice.
Same.
Yeah.
Endless Sacrifice was also my first pick for favorite song.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on. It's the song that most of all brings in kind of the new metal flavor a little bit, which makes it stand out. And I also had to write down Vacant leading into Stream of Consciousness.
Yeah, that is a good song.
As a honorable mention. I'm quite fond of that. But yeah, Endless Sacrifice has got a lot going on. It's got, the mission statement of this album, which was we're going to make this a heavy album, but also this is a heavy Dream Theater album.
Let's not forget who we are.
A lot of other crazy, insane shit that happens on it because it's fucking Dream Theater. What do you want? What more could you want? So what medal are you bestowing upon this, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
The more I think about it, the more it gets a gold.
Yeah.
It's
I think it's
on the line.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think in the pantheon of Dream Theater albums, it's interesting. Like I'm giving it a gold as well, but it's interesting in the pantheon of like Dream Theater albums in the sense that like it, in some ways, isn't like among their top 3 albums, I'd say. But in other ways, it's also notable because it stands out, because it's trying to be different and trying to be something that is different from what they usually do without losing their identity as part of it. It's just like, hey, let's lean into...
Right, they weren't taking the band in a different direction.
Yeah.
They were just, leaning in.
Like, oh, how this song has this heavy couple of minutes. What if we did that for the whole album? And so that makes it stand out. Doesn't necessarily make it objectively better, but we're talking about fucking music. It's all subjective.
Right.
And this album is very, very enjoyable. If you like Dream Theater but haven't listened to Train of Thought for some fucking reason, go do that. Go listen to this album. It's good. You'll have fun.
Pick this record up.
Pick it up and put it back down when you're done with it, because that's how you listen to music. You find a record, you pick it up and you hold it for an hour and 9 minutes.
You put your ear next to it.
And then you put it down and you have absorbed it. That would be an interesting, like, weird mutant superpower. Like, to include in, like, a weird offshoot X-Men comic of just, like, what's your mutant power? Well, I can touch a CD or a vinyl record or any sort of physical medium that contains audio. I can touch it. And if I touch, I can listen to it, but I have to be holding it for the whole time.
Yeah, for the actual, it's analogous. I can't just absorb the music. I can't just download it to my head.
I have to touch. I have to be in contact with the thing making the sound.
Right, for the amount of time that the sound would happen.
Yep. So it's like
Becky has a tooth that's a needle.
Okay, that's not quite what I was thinking. But yeah, I'm just picturing a guy that's just like walking down the street, just holding a CD in his hand and just like vibing, and people are like, "What's that guy's deal?" People would just assume he's crazy. No one would assume that he's a mutant. But then when he's done in town, he goes back to the school. He goes to Xavier's, and he's the music teacher.
What if he's holding like two different mediums? What if he's holding like two different CDs or a cassette over here and a?
Well, they play at the same time, but they're
because there are people who can do that.
He gets a nosebleed.
There are people who can hear like 4 different songs at the same time.
He gets a nosebleed, and if he holds on to it for too long, he'll get brain damage. But at the climax of the comic, he's going to have to do that and really put himself at risk for some reason.
This is the worst mutant ability.
I think there are probably worse ones. I don't know about them, but the X-Men universe is big enough,
right?
To where there's almost certainly something dumber.
I can communicate with corn,
which makes me wonder: is there a music teacher at Xavier's school for exceptional youngsters or whatever the hell it's called?
Any of those fictional schools, if you really think about them, they're the shittiest schools ever. Like,
well, because all the teachers there, like. Fucking Wolverine's your history teacher. On one hand, that's kind of cool. He's been there for a lot of the stuff he's talking about. On the other hand, that man hasn't gone to college to be a teacher.
No, he's not good at communicating with people at all.
He's not qualified to instruct children.
He's not an orator. He's not somebody who would stand at the front of a room and make a speech.
It's not made a part of his character.
No,
I can't remember what Storm technically teaches. Does she teach meteorology? How good do you have to be at meteorology when you can just make the weather what you want it to be? You don't need to learn how the weather be normally when you can make it how you want.
She teaches civics.
Maybe. Who knows? I don't know what Storm is. I'm not a comic book person, so I don't know these things. I'm just making assumptions. So next week, what do you want to talk about?
Because you brought up the name, you brought up the band.
Queensryche?
Have we done a Queensryche album at all?
No, we haven't.
I think maybe you should listen. I'm going to give you Operation Mindcrime.
Operation Mindcrime.
Yes, listen to Operation by Queensryche. Yeah.
Okay.
From 1993.
All right.
I believe.
And what kind of band is Queensryche again? They're kind of like a progressive band, aren't they?
Yeah, they're progressive rock, progressive metal. There's a lot of metal element in there.
Kind of in the same. I mean, they're a reason they were on tour with Dream Theater,
right? Yeah, they're of the same ilk. I mean,
okay.
And this was their first like full concept album, Operation Mindcrime. It follows a story from the front to the end. So.
All right, I'm interested. I'm interested. Let's do it. Next week, Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche. So until you hear from us then, why don't you go on to the internet, which you're already on because you're listening to this.
Right.
We don't print this in physical medium.
We don't
for that weird mutant to listen to.
Or you don't mean print? I mean like in paper.
Yeah, we don't. I don't transliterate.
You gotta make this into a zine.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Follow us there. And for listening to the podcast, why don't you subscribe to our feed on your Apple Podcast app or go into your app store and download the Libsyn podcast source app and subscribe to our feed there. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.